Hello everybody out there and welcome to another edition of Bolts Breakdown, our very first Game 7 edition of Bolts Breakdown. Bryan Burns, beat writer for TampaBayLightning.com, Recher 620 WDAE. Before we delve into the pivotal Game 7 tonight against the Capitals, let's look back at Game 6. Burnsy, not too good.
Yeah.
But you know what? After one, it was scoreless. I thought the Lightning were hanging tough. But then the second period, the barrage came in. Washington was all over.
Yeah, you really got the sense that it was almost like a Game 7 feel to it, that game, especially for Washington, the way that they came out and fought. And like you said, I thought the first period was pretty evenly played. I don't think either team could say they had advantage after the first period. I thought the Lightning did what they needed to do on the road. But then I think the game kind of changed when they had that power play, weren't really able to capitalize on it. And it seemed like Washington kind of fed off that. You almost got a sense that they thought the Lightning would potentially score the way that power play has been going for them this series. And the fact that they were able to kill that one off, I think Washington got a little momentum off of that, was able to carry that into the second period or throughout the second period, and really kind of started to tilt the ice in that second and had the majority of the chances. Again, third period, I thought the Lightning had a pretty good push at the beginning once they went down 1-0. But that second goal was a killer.
Yeah.
Once they gave that up, I don't think, I really didn't give the Lightning much of a chance of coming back in that game. I really felt like that was a one-goal game. Whoever got that first goal, that opening goal, was probably going to be able to see that one all the way through to the end of the contest. So here we are again. Brian Callahan said it best. He said the Caps played a desperate game, a game where their playoff lives depended on it, where they lose that game, their season's over. And the Lightning played a game like they still had one in the bank, one left to play, even if they lost that game. So the desperation level was there for the Caps. It wasn't quite there for the Lightning. I expect you'll see both teams come out with that desperation level tonight in Game 7.
And on that goal, that second goal, I mean, what was the consensus there in the building? Was it that it was an icing?
In the building, I think if you ask the Caps fans, they'll say that was a great call. And that every other call that went against the Caps was the NHL trying the job, the Washington Capitals, because they definitely don't want to see them win. They'd much rather have a southern market team advance to the Stanley Cup.
They don't want
final.
Ovechkin out there.
Right, yeah.
Every commercial is Ovechkin and Holtby in the commercial breaks.
I thought it was curious. I thought it should have been an icing. I'm not really sure why it was waved off there, but again, it's something that happens. Both teams have had to deal with that during this playoff series. Braden Coburn's got to be better there about getting the puck out of his own end. He tried to rim one around. It got stolen there behind the goal line. Then they were able to feed back down below the net, and then you see Devontae Smith-Pelly coming free into the slot. Great pass, great shot by Smith-Pelly, and that was it. That was your ball game, 2-0. The Lightning, I thought it looked like they only had one goal in them that game, the way Washington was locking them down.
Yeah.
So to come back from 2 that late in the game, I just think was too much of an ask. Could have gone either way, 50-50, whether or not that's an icing or not. I think more often than not, you see that called as icing, but it wasn't, and you got to play better there behind your own net.
You got to keep playing too. You can't
if
just
nothing
stop.
else, you just got to hold it up and wait for reinforcements to come, rather than just kind of rimming it around and hoping that it gets by.
Exactly, and you know what? And we've talked about this a lot, Burnsy. Bryan Burns, beat writer, TampaBayLightning.com, Recher 620 WDAE. Remember to make sure you let us know where you're watching Bolts Breakdown from today. Where's our distant thunder at? But we talk about how important it is for your best players to play their best. In the playoffs, and especially in a pivotal Game 6. I loved what they were saying after Game 5. They said all the right things. The body language is good, but they come out, and I think Stamkos wasn't strong on the wall. Kucherov had a couple of turnovers in the neutral zone, and then Victor Hedman just at times it seemed like you try to keep the puck in, it would bounce off somebody's shin pad and come out of the zone. Those three players have to play much better if the Lightning want to win in Game 7 tonight.
Yeah, I thought Hedman was outstanding defensively and really helped calm things back there. I thought the Lightning were pretty good defensively in that game. I know they gave up a barrage of shots there in the second period, but I thought they played a pretty sound defensive game, and I think Hedman was the leader of that. But offensively, you want to see Stamkos, try to take over the game a little bit. He's your superstar. He's your go-to player. You'd like to see him a little bit more productive in that game, taking more shots. I think he only ended up with one shot in that game. Same with Nikita Kucherov, only finished with one shot in that game. You need him to take more, and John Cooper alluded to as much after Game 6. They need to get more shots on net. They need to find a way to get shots through. They're getting too many blocked right now, too many shots that aren't hitting the net. They need to get them on net. If nothing else, you put a shot on net, you're creating somewhat of a scramble play in front. We've seen so many goals scored in that fashion where maybe it comes against the run of play, but it's a scramble in front, and you're opportunistic, and one of your guys is there to poke it home. That's kind of what it's going to take, especially in a Game 7 like this. I'm thinking of Game 7 3 years ago against the Detroit Red Wings, where so many good scoring opportunities, none of them go in, and then Braden Coburn just kind of shoots like a knuckle puck from the point that happens to go in. Those are the kinds of like crazy deflections or crazy plays that end up leading to game-winning goals in these situations. So got to put stuff on net, got to make sure it's getting through. Washington's done a heck of a job at blocking stuff from the points, really not allowing the defenseman to get anything on net. And the Lightning have to find a way to just slip by a little bit, open up that block a little bit, and get one by and just try to squeeze one of those juicy goals in.
We got people watching from all over the world: Sweden, Germany, North Japan, Georgia. Well, everybody, man. Appreciate
Georgia
everybody.
The country or the
Georgia,
state?
The state.
Okay.
Maybe it could be Georgia, the country, too. So make sure, again, keep letting us know where you're watching Bolts Breakdown from. We appreciate you guys being the Distant Thunder. Make sure you like our show here, and make sure you share it as well on your Facebook. Let's get that word out as much as we can. Game 7, big Game 7 tonight for the Bolts as they try to clinch it and head to the Stanley Cup Final. Before we get into Game 7, Burnsy, looking back again, just the stellar play of Andrei Vasilevsky. I thought both goaltenders played pretty good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andrei Vasilevsky was tested much more than Braden Holtby, but I thought Holtby did a good job. There's a lot of deflected shots that the Lightning had, and Holtby looked like he saw the puck well, but you look at some of the saves Vasilevsky made, and then the timely saves Holtby made. You just got to tip your hat to both of those guys. It could have been 6-0 Lightning, or it could have been a 2-2 game if Holtby's not in net.
Yeah, I thought Holtby, the game-changing save he made was on that one with Tony Cirelli, where he was in
forehand
front.
and backhand.
Yeah, had the backhander, and at first, initially on the play, I thought Cirelli had missed the net on that backhander, but then looking at the replay, Holtby just got the slightest little deflection on that puck to send it wide, and great play by him. He was dialed in. Andrei Vasilevsky was dialed in as well. It's funny, like after Game 2, there was even some talk about do the Lightning bring in Louis Domingue for Game 3. I think even someone asked Ryan Callahan that on the bench after either after Game 2 or before Game 3, and Callahan, I think he, if the inner monologue in his head right there could have been broadcast, I think it would have been pretty priceless.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
The thought of going with anybody but Andrei Vasilevsky for the Tampa Bay Lightning this season is absurd. I mean, and he's come back, and the first 2 games obviously weren't his best games, but it wasn't on him. If you're looking at a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably say those are maybe 5, 6 on the scale for him. 10 being him playing at his best. But he's raised it up to a 9 to a 10 level here in these last couple games. 4 straight games now where he's only given up 2 goals in each game. That's kind of the benchmark for the Lightning. If you can hold the other team to 2 goals or less, that's what John Cooper's always preached to these guys, that if we can hold them to 2 or less, then we should be able to go out there and win. And that's bared. The stats bear that out. The Lightning are like 15-0, or have won 15 straight when they score 3 goals or more. So you score 3, you hold the other team to 2. That's the recipe for success for the Lightning. Andrei Vasilevsky's been able to do that for these last 4 games. The guys in front of him haven't necessarily been able to put the 3 goals on the board to help him out. So hopefully they can get that end of the equation going as well.
Got guys watching from Czech Republic, Lithuania, Vancouver, Washington State. So all over, man. A lot of cold places. You guys certainly do love your hockey. Bryan Burns, beat writer for TampaBayLightning.com. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at BBurnsNHL. You can follow the team at TB Lightning. My name's Jay Recher. You can follow me at Jay Recher. You can follow the station at 620
Ask them trivia and give away
tickets for correct answers.
Sure, I'll just all the tickets I have in my back pocket.
That's the thing, is like people are like, can you get tickets or autographs? I'm like, nope and no. It's not that we don't want to. It's just we just can't do that.
Yeah, it's not.
And especially the hot ticket it is tonight. My friend's like, hey, you got any tickets for tonight's game? I'm like, for a Game 7?
Like, I'm lucky I'm here tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're on your own.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we have enough parking passes to go around here for the media. All right, let's look forward to tonight's game. Burnsy, obviously a huge game. It'll be the big story, and see if the Lightning can either just put Game 6 behind him. Washington's trying to carry that momentum over from Game 6. As Burnsy gives his 3 stars, I'm going to ask you guys out there, how confident, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you guys that the Lightning are going to win Game 7? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that the Lightning will win tonight, Burnsy?
10 being most confident.
10 being most confident. This is why we work together so well. 10 being most confident, 1 meaning not so great. What are your 3 keys to victory for the Bolts tonight?
Yeah, before I get into the 3 keys, you can't really, what the Lightning did in Game 6, that doesn't carry over to Game 7. I think back to like the New York Rangers series, 3 years ago in the conference final, where the Lightning had a chance to close it out. I think it on home ice.
Yeah.
And a Game 6, and just got destroyed. I think the final score was 7-2.
Yeah.
And then they come back and shut out the Rangers in Madison Square Garden, where they never lost the Game 7, where Henrik Lundqvist had never lost the Game 7. So you can't translate from one game to the next what's going to happen. Each one of these games is its own different animal. You just have to hope that the Lightning come out with a little bit more fight. So getting into 3 keys, first one for me is I thought, you got to be more physical than the Caps in this game. I thought Washington really hammered the Lightning in that game early on, too. They set the tone right from the start that they were going to be the more physical team in that game. They weren't going to let that Kunitz, Callahan, Paquette line get on track and start hitting everything like they had been in the previous games. And there were some vicious hits late on Cedric Paquette, on Chris Kunitz, and somehow Ryan Callahan escaped a lot of that. But those 2 in particular took some really big-time hits, legal hits early on. That I think really kind of got them out of their game a little bit and set the tone that they weren't going to let the Caps set the tone. They weren't going to let those guys have their way with them, and I think that's kind of what turned the tenor of that game.
What did you think about, I know we had some people hit us up on 620 yesterday about that Devontae Smith-Pelly hit on Girardi. What did you think about that hit?
Which one was that?
There was one behind the net. He was
where he came in and he got kind of sandwiched a little bit? I thought that was a legal hit.
I thought it was a legal hit, too.
I thought it was a little bit unfortunate. I think maybe the guy behind him had fallen a little bit, and maybe it looked like maybe he was trying to low bridge him, but I don't think that was the case. I think it was just a case where Smith-Pelly came from behind the net, was hitting Girardi in a legal fashion, and Girardi took a big lick. I don't think he'll say anything. I don't think he'll say anything about that being. And he was. You could tell he was kind of dinged up when that happened, too. He was a little slow to rise to his feet. He even tried to grab. I don't know if it was Smith-Pelly or someone else was coming around the net, whipped the puck. He even tried to grab him with his hand just to slow him down a little bit because he knew he wasn't going to be able to get up anytime soon, and it took him a little while to get up. There's also another hit. I forget it. It was Ovechkin maybe on Yanni Gourde. Or was it Tyler Johnson? It was one of those guys where Ovechkin kind of came off the bench and just went right after someone, and a lot of people thought maybe that should have been charging. I didn't see that one. I just kind of saw the aftermath and heard the crowd really riled up about that one. So I don't really know if that was borderline or what. But to me, that's kind of what got the crowd going. You got the sense they weren't that loud going into Game 6. There was a little bit of trepidation on the crowd's part. They were kind of waiting to see what kind of Washington team are we going to get. When they came out with that energy and they came out with those big hits, that got them riled up. And then they were super loud. And then I think the Caps fed off of that crowd and fed off of how loud they were getting. It was just kind of like a symbiotic relationship where both the hits and the crowd were getting each other going. I want to see that from the Lightning crowd tonight. I want to see the Lightning come out, lay a few big hits, and I want to see this crowd really get into it and really spur this team on. John Cooper's talked about how Game 7 or home ice advantage, it doesn't matter until you get into a Game 7. Home ice is just home ice, but when you get to a Game 7, that's what you play the regular season for. That's why you finish first in the Eastern Conference. That's why you win your division. So when you get to these situations, you have this pivotal Game 7 on your home ice. And now you need this crowd to step up and really be, that extra man for the Lightning to really spur them on.
Be the Thunder, baby.
Exactly. You got to be the Thunder tonight out there, Bolts Nation. Second point for me, got to score first. I know we've talked about this throughout this playoff series, especially this series, but even throughout this playoffs, how important it is for the Lightning to get on the scoreboard first. But particularly in a game like this, Game 7, it's going to be just like Game 6. It's going to be tight checking. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be shots are going to be to a minimum. Really good scoring chances are going to be to a minimum. Both teams are going to play not wanting to make that mistake that ends up costing their team. So you're going to see a lot of conservative play early on. And I think whoever gets that first goal, it might be a case where, again, it doesn't come to the second period, doesn't come to the third period, but whoever gets that first goal is really going to be in the driver's seat. And I think, I think the one goal wins it. I think whoever gets the first goal wins up winning. I think it's going to be a 2-0 game with one goal and then an empty netter at the end. I'm going to predict 2-0 Lightning.
Look at him.
I think that first goal doesn't come until maybe end of the second period, early third period, kind of like that Braden Coburn goal we alluded to a little bit earlier in that 2015 series. And then third point for me, just got to be smart with the puck. We saw too many turnovers at neutral ice for the Lightning. I really thought it hurt them in the second period. They weren't able to get their offense going. They were kind of out of rhythm offensively. And a lot of that, they just weren't able to enter the zone with any speed because they kept turning the puck over at center ice. So a lot of that was, Washington, credit to them, what they were able to do to kind of disrupt what the Lightning wanted to do going into the zone. But a lot of that, too, was just sloppy passing on the Lightning's part. So got to be better in that neutral zone.
Without a doubt. All right, guys, give us your prediction for tonight's game. Burnsy says 2-0. I think it's going to be 3-2 Lightning. 3-1. I think Washington gets one late. Kind of like how Game 5 went, where they came back at the end. They score one. It's going to be crazy, man. Going to shave after the Vegas series? Yeah. And get a haircut, too, after the Vegas series. It ain't stopping. We're not stopping. The Lightning ain't stopping. This will not be the last Bolts Breakdown. It will not happen. Lightning going to win tonight. My one guy to watch, it's got to be on the other side. We haven't talked about him as being the one to watch. He's been saying position players, but I think it's Braden Holtby, man. I think that's the guy you watch tonight. The big thing for the Tampa Bay Lightning is to make sure that they get traffic in front. I thought he saw the puck very easily in Game 6. That's part of the reason why he made so many of those saves. I think if you get traffic in front, get those big bodies in front, throw your weight around, and make sure you can't see some shots. Even if you don't, there's at times, and we've seen this before, where a puck goes wide, but the goalie never sees it.
Yeah, Cirelli had a wraparound chance early in that game where I don't think he knew. Hope had no idea where the puck was. He was still in the right post. Yeah. Cirelli wraps that around on the left post. Hope he's not even there to cover. That's a great point.
Exactly. So if we can get the traffic in front, I think it'd be a huge change for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm also curious to see, because you saw what the Caps did. They started with their fourth line in that Game 6 to try to combat that fourth line of the Lightning. Now that the Lightning have the last change, it'd be interesting to see what Barry Trotz does. Does he go right back with his first line and say, hey, the fourth line's going to go out there? Or does he try to go fourth line on fourth line again, seeing the success he had in Game 6? But I'm with you. You have to set the physical tone early and often, and your stars need to shine tonight. This is the reason why you get paid the big bucks. This is the reason why you're the captain. This is the reason why, as Nikita Kucherov, you're a perennial, all-stars. You got to show up tonight. I thought Braden Point played really well in the last game, but this is a Kucherov-Stamkos game. It's not so much as I think they both have to score, but they just both have to be huge factors.
Got to be dangerous.
You got to be dangerous. You have to take some of the focus and the attention away from other guys because, like you alluded to before in that series with Detroit, it was Braden Coburn and then Strawman with the empty net goal. Yeah. Tonight you're looking at a Anthony Cirelli goal. You're looking at could be the Chris Kunitz game. You know what I mean? We've been waiting for the Chris Kunitz game. Usually your unsung hero scores in games like this. But the only way that they do that is because the big stars kind of take the attention away from those guys, opens up the ice for them, and then they come up and score the big goal. So I'm excited, man. It's Game 7.
Yeah, it's Game 7.
There's nothing like it. Yeah. All eyes in the sports world. There's no other big. I think
we live to cover.
This is it, man. This is it.
We consider ourselves fortunate to be here.
Without a doubt. There's no other hockey games on. It's going to be awesome, man. I cannot wait. So make sure, guys, like this, share this Bolts Breakdown. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Brian Burns, beat writer for TampaBayLightning.com. Follow him on Twitter at BBurnsNHL. You can follow the team at TV Lightning. Go to TampaBayLightning.com for all the best news and notes, especially after morning skate. The guys are out there now, so we got to head down there. Jay Recher, follow me at Jay Recher. Follow the station at 620 WDAE. Go to 620WDAE.com for the best Bolts coverage. It'll be on NBC Sports Network tonight, 8 o'clock puck drop. And make sure you listen up the dial on our sister station, 970 WFLA. All right, brother. Game 7, it's here. You ready?
Do it. I'm ready.
All right, man. Here we go. That's Brian. I'm Jay. See you guys next time on Bolts Breakdown.